Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So this week I am bringing you part 2 of my DIY wedding details video. As I said in the first part, which was a couple of weeks ago now, there was just too much for me to fit into one video. At first I thought I might be able to, but I guess I underestimated how much of our wedding I made myself and it just wouldn't all fit into one. Or if it did, it would have been like 2 hours long, which would just have been far too long for you all. So I split it into 2 and today I'm bringing you the second part. This is going to be all of the smaller things, so the wedding party gifts, the table names, place settings, favours, all that kind of thing that they weren't necessarily things that took less work, but they are all the physically smaller items that I made. So I hope that you are going to enjoy this one. A lot of you really seem to like the last one and a lot of you found it really helpful for your own DIYs for your wedding, so I hope it's the same for this one. If you do enjoy it, please do remember to give it a big thumbs up because that really does help. It puts it in the recommended section for other people to enjoy, and we really want to get the word out there and spread this channel a little bit. If you aren't subscribed already, if you're new around here, welcome to my channel. My name's Louise. I have quite a large number of videos on here now that range from daily vlogs to wedding content to our trips away, so please do go and check out all of the other videos that are already here, and don't forget to click subscribe so that you can see all of the new ones that are to come, because there is some very exciting things going to be happening on this channel in the very near future. But with that being said, let's just get on with all the DIY stuff. I think the easiest way to do this is just going to be to start with the wedding morning and then work our way through the day. That way I know I'm not going to forget anything or miss anything out. So I'm going to start with the wedding party gift bags. I didn't make too much of this myself. A lot of it I did buy from small businesses and things like that, but I did make some of the things myself and I am really pleased with them and everyone seemed to like them. So I'm going to show you the things that I made to go in the gift bags for all the members of the wedding party. So as I said, the best place to start is probably just at the beginning of the day and then work our way through. So first thing is these coat hangers. Obviously I didn't make the actual coat hangers, but I did make these tags that are on each of them. I did actually end up gluing them on so that they didn't move about, because when I just had them hanging by the ribbon, they kept like clattering against the hangers and the noise was really, really irritating, and they would spin round and be back to front. So I just put a little bit of Yoo-hoo glue on the back just to hold them on. The actual white hearts themselves were from Hobbycraft. I will link them down below if they're still available. They come with this little eyelet already on them, so I was just able to attach a little piece of white ribbon. The bows I just got off eBay in a multi-pack. I think they were literally like $1.99 for a pack of 12 bows, I think. So I got black for all of the men's hangers and then lilac for all of my bridal parties. And then these vinyls I got off a lovely seller on Etsy. I actually placed 2 separate orders because I was originally only doing bridal party hangers and then I decided to do them for all the suits as well. But honestly, I would definitely recommend this seller. They were so lovely. Sent a little thank you card each time I placed an order, and the vinyls were really, really easy to put on. They have lasted really well. There's no signs of peeling or anything on them, and I absolutely love them. The coat hangers themselves, the white ones were from Wilko, and the wooden ones were from Argos. So if I can still find them available, I'll link them down below. And they did look really, really nice on the day of the wedding. They came across really nice on photos. And I just thought it was that nice little extra touch for the morning. Next, we will move on to the gift bags. Obviously, I do only have mine still here to be able to show you. But mine was identical to everybody else's, except for a slight wording change on the tag. So these gift bags I actually got from Pound Stretcher. I actually ended up buying 3 different kinds of gift bags because I kept changing my mind, but I eventually settled on these. The names I actually made myself, partly to save money and partly because I left it a bit last minute to change my mind, so I didn't think there would be enough time for vinyls to arrive. So I just designed it and printed just from my normal laptop, and then I used like a craft knife
to cut it out. It was really fiddly and really difficult. I would definitely advise like ordering a vinyl if you have the time, but obviously I didn't, so I just went with this. And even though it was fiddly, I'm really pleased with how it ended up looking. I also attached fresh ribbon to the top that just came with plain white ribbon on. So I put a little lilac ribbon on there just to tie in the colour scheme. And then I also made this little tag on there. So as you can see, mine says something to celebrate our special day. If I'm remembering correctly, everyone else has said thank you for being part of our special day. And then obviously our names and the date. As you can see, just like with a lot of things, the date has had to be changed with a little piece of sticker paper, but that isn't at all noticeable. Again, with everything else that I made, it is just white linen card that I got off eBay, printed myself and then backed onto silver and purple card. And I do think it gives a really nice effect. And then the other thing that was sort of handmade by me, I didn't actually make any of the pieces, but I did put it all together. So these flutes, I'm trying to find a good place to put it so you can see it properly. These flutes I actually got way back in 2019, I think, possibly 2018 even. They were in Home Bargains. It was before Home Bargains really did any kind of wedding range. But I found these that said something like, I think the printing on them said something like time for Prosecco or something, or pop the Prosecco. And that's what it said on the actual like main bit of the flute. But it was just put on with a vinyl. So I got them because I really like the silver glitter on the bottom. And then I managed to peel off the vinyl that was on there, give them a good clean. And then these vinyls I ordered off Etsy. Again, I will link it below. So obviously mine says bride and it's in almost like a glitter vinyl in purple. All of my bridal party had the same, obviously, for their roles in the wedding. I did do a slightly different glass for the younger bridesmaids, the page boy and the flower girl. So if I've got photos or like video clips or anything, I will pop it in on the screen now just to show you. But everyone had the same vinyl, the only difference being the page boys was in black. The younger ones, theirs did come with a lid and a straw, but they didn't match what I was going for. So I actually covered the lid myself in silver glitter, just the same as I did in last week's video on the bride and groom wreaths. Painted them silver and then put silver glitter on. If I've managed to find a photo or video, you will be able to see that now on the screen. And then the straws I got in a multi-pack off eBay, silver glitter straws, and literally just exchanged them for the ones that were in there. But yeah, I was really, really happy with these for the bridal party. I think they turned out really nice. My bag obviously is looking a bit worse for wear now, but I was really, really happy with them. The only other thing, I did also make a card for each member of the bridal party. Again, I only have mine to show you at the moment, but this was mine. Obviously, Richard decided what he wanted to put in it, and we did write each other a letter, but I made the cards. So the bridal party ones, if I can find any photos or anything again, I will put it on the screen now. But these were, again, just white linen card, printed with the same little design with the Mickey head I used on all of the stationery, and then backed it on the silver and purple card, but this time it is in an actual like fold out card. And I was really, really happy with how those turned out, and everyone really seemed to appreciate them. Now that I've shown you all of the ones for the bridal party side of things, it's only fair to show you the ones that I made for the groom side as well, and also for my uncle and the page boy, basically all the men that were in the wedding, because they are very different. I made different things for them, and especially for my now husband, for his gift bag, I made a few little extra bits as well. So I'll show you those now. So the men's bags, especially Richard's, did take a little bit more DIY. The bags themselves, I absolutely love. They've got this little sort of tuxedo design. I honestly can't remember where I got them from, but I think it was eBay. If it wasn't, I have seen very similar ones on there, so I'll try and link some down below if I can. Again, for the front of them, I made a little tag. So these ones have the name on and the role in the wedding. Again, everyone else's said thank you for being part of our special day. And again, I just had to put a little piece of sticker paper on with the correct date. As with everything else, these were just printed on linen card, backed on silver and then on purple. I did incorporate a little Mickey head in there as well. And then just the same lilac ribbon threaded through the hole that the handles are through. Just the same lilac ribbon as I've used on everything else that was from Dunelm. So now going into the bag. Richard's obviously had a little bit extra in than everybody else's. And one of the main ones was this box. If I just move the bag slightly so you can see it better. So this box I did actually get when Debenhams was closing down and everything was really, really cheap. And I think this box cost me about 40 pence. It's like a nice velvety fabric and it's really good quality, really sturdy. This is what his main present was in, which was a watch. The bow on the top I actually made myself just from the same Dunelm ribbon. And if I turn it upside down, you can see underneath I have put some elastic on both pieces. So you can just slide the ribbon off. You don't have to undo the bow. And then on there, I also made quite a few of these little tags with sort of a nice little message on each one. So obviously this one being a watch, I put so you can't possibly be late. Again, just a little Mickey head on there, and they were made exactly the same way as these tags were made. So just printed off on the linen card and then backed on the silver and purple. And then if I can manage to open this with one hand, I did for that one just safety pin the little label onto the ribbon. If I can just pull this one off as well. Inside, I put a little note for him. So it lists the days I've been his girlfriend, the hours I've been his fiancée, and then obviously now I get to spend the rest of my life as his wife. And then there is a little Harry Potter quote in here because obviously the majority of our wedding did have a lot to do with Disney, but we are big Universal fans, which obviously involves the Harry Potter areas, and we are just big Harry Potter fans in general. So I've got after all this time, and then on his watch, I got engraved always, which if you're a Harry Potter fan, you will obviously recognise that quote. But yeah, I just thought that was a nice little extra. It did take me a couple of attempts to get the size right to fit in here, but it's just the same as everything else. Printed on linen card and then backed on the silver and purple. And I just used some double-sided tape to stick it to the underneath of the lid. So I was really pleased with how that turned out. Then next up in the bag, I'll show you the card because that is just the same as the bridal party. So again, linen card and then backed on silver and purple with the little design from all of the stationery in the corner. I think next I'll show you the tags I put on everything because obviously that is specific to Richard's presents. So I'll just lift them all out. So for the whole of the wedding party on the groom's side, they all got one of these pens which were personalised. And on Richard's pen, I put this little tag that says to sign your heart over to me. Obviously, he didn't actually use that pen to sign anything, but I just thought it was a nice, cute little message. And then on the bottles of beer that they were each given, I put this little tag on Richard's in case you need some Dutch courage. Then he also had some personalised socks. So that one said, so you don't get cold feet. He did also get some boxes from me, which unfortunately the tag seems to have gone missing. The boxes said property of the new Mrs. Poole. So the tag said, so everyone knows that you're mine. His aftershave, I put this one on so you smell as good as you look. And then they all got a pack of mints as well. So this one says, for a fresh kiss with your wife. So I just thought that was a nice little extra. I got the idea actually off Pinterest and they were really easy to make. It was just a smaller version of the tag that I put on the bag. So really easy just to print out and stick together and then attach to everything with a little bit of white ribbon. So the next thing I'm going to show you, I don't want to call it a make because I didn't really make much of it myself, but these little sort of test tubes I got off eBay. I think it was a pack of 5 for about £3. and I just filled it with little Tic Tac mints, and then I made a tiny version of the tag with the printing mint to be, and then just attached it to the lid with a little piece of white ribbon. I really wanted to find a way to use the mint to be phrase because I had seen it on so many things and I thought it was so cute. So I just came up with this little extra idea, and it only cost like maybe £1 per tube for each of the men. So I was really happy with that. And then I think there's just a couple more things. So this, obviously, you won't think it really looks like a make. But if you look closely, I'm going to move that because it keeps focusing on the tag on the bag. So if you look closely, you can see the label is personalised to us. So I found just on Google Images a picture of the Birra Moretti circular label because I knew that was the drink we were going to buy for each of the men. And I managed to find just this logo and this bit of the logo on Google Images as well. So I then created my own label just on basic sticky back paper and then personalised it with our names and the date of the wedding, getting it as close as I could to the original font, and then I just stuck it onto the bottle. Now, most of the men didn't actually notice this. Richard had to point it out to some of them, I think, but this was probably one of the things I was most pleased with. Even though it's only something small, it was quite difficult, and I do think it looks almost identical to the original label, so I was really, really happy with that. And then the last thing is these glasses. So the glasses I got from Argos. I think it was maybe £6 for a pack of 4, but they're really thick, really good quality. And then the vinyls, again, were just off Etsy. Really easy to stick on, really good quality. And yeah, I was really happy with them. Nice and simple, but I think they look really good. And everyone did seem to like them on the day. So I think this was probably the most work by the time I made all of the labels and everything. But I definitely think it was worth it. I was really pleased with how everything looked.
That is everything from the wedding morning. I hope some of that has been interesting or useful to some of you. A lot of that was really, really easy to make and actually really enjoyable. And as I said, people really did seem to appreciate them and like them when they opened their gift bags. I got good feedback from Richard, from all the men opening theirs as well. So yeah, definitely were a hit with everybody. If you've got any questions about any of it, please do just put them in the comments below. You can send me a message or even come and ask me over on my Instagram page. That is always linked on the description as well. So now we're going to move on to the ceremony. I didn't really make a lot for the ceremony because I didn't want too much going on. I wanted the focus to be on the ceremony itself because that is obviously the most important part of the day. So I only really made like the welcome sign, which you'll have seen in the previous video, and then sort of like a little welcome pack that was sort of the order of service and things like that. So I'll show you those now.
So there is the actual order of service, a little fan and a pack of tissues, all just put together in one of these little sealable bags. I got these on eBay. Again, if I can find them, I will link them down below. They were really reasonably priced and really good quality. The only thing I will say is that some people I think did feel a bit awkward when it came to needing to open them in church. It was kind of that thing where you don't want to open it too loudly, and because they're a plastic packet, they do rustle quite a lot, so that is something to keep in mind. Obviously it wasn't noticeable on the day, but I think some people did feel a little bit awkward about opening it. So let me just open this one up and show you what is inside. So the main thing is, of course, the order of service itself. So I'll just move the other two bits out the way for now. This was completely handmade, so it is just a little tri-fold, almost booklet. I will lift that out for now just to show you this. So on the front, I just made this on the linen card. I found sort of the dimensions I would need just by Googling how to make one. And then on the front, I have got the same little pattern that I have used on all of the stationery. I've got welcome to the wedding of and our names. Again, a little Mickey head on there. And then the name of the church and the date, which again had to be changed with some sticker paper. And then across the top and the bottom, I have just put a stripe of lilac washi tape, which does actually run right the way along all of it. So I just literally put a stripe right the way down and then obviously folded it over. On the next side, you do have a list of the bridal party. So obviously the best men, the groomsmen, maid of honour, bridesmaids, flower girl, page boy, the witnesses, and then who was doing our music. And then on the back, I just put a little thank you poem. I did take some inspiration from poems that I found just Googling, but nothing exactly matched what I wanted it to say. So I took lines here and there and made it fit what we wanted. Feel free to pause it and copy it over if you'd like to use it for your wedding day. And just on the bottom there, another little Mickey head. For the inside, I found it really difficult to try and line up the printing to print on both sides. So for the inside, I just printed it. I'm not sure if you can see. I printed it onto normal A4 white paper and then just used some double-sided tape. You can see here where it sort of lines up, and I just double-sided taped each insert onto it. So we do just have on the inside our order of service. It lists the hymns, the readings, so everyone had a good idea of where we were in the service. I also, if there was a response needed for a reading, I did list what the response needed to be, because obviously if you're not a churchgoer, like before I'd been a couple of times with Richard's family, I didn't know that you were supposed to join in, when you were supposed to join in, what you were supposed to say. So I thought it would be helpful for me to pop the little response on there as well. And then on the inside, we have again that little pattern that I have used on all of the stationery. And then in there, I also added just this little slip of paper that had our two hymns. So one hymn on that side and then one hymn on that side. This was just on regular A4 paper, but obviously good quality paper. And then I just put it on the inside of the order of service and folded it closed so that everyone had no excuse not to sing along, because they literally have the lyrics there in front of them. As I said, we also have a fan and packet of tissues. Getting married in May, you can never really be sure if it's going to be pouring down or blaring sunshine. So I just got a pack of fans off eBay. I don't think they were the cheapest, but they definitely weren't too expensive. And if I can manage to do this with one hand, when you fold it round, it becomes a little heart. I just thought they were really cute, and you can fold the little sort of clasp over at the bottom to hold it together. The kids especially, I think, loved these. It wasn't too hot on our day, so they weren't really needed, but I definitely would have been glad we had them if it had been any hotter. So I am still glad we included them. And then we also had these little packets of tissues. So the packets themselves I made from the packets we got for our candy cart. I just cut them down to the right size for the tissues and then left a little lip to fold over. These I just designed on a free version of Word, printed them on sticky back paper, and then obviously just stuck it down. In here there is 2 individual tissues. I just bought a multi-pack from Home Bargains and then put a couple in each. So this was probably one of the simplest DIYs that I've done. This was probably one of the most difficult in terms of the stationery, but people really seemed to like them. People did use them. I know people used the tissues. There was quite a few people shed some tears, which was lovely. Not lovely in a nasty way, but you know, lovely that they care. And yeah, I definitely think people appreciated having these little packets. And again, so happy with how they turned out. It is really nice, as I said in the last video, when you have had this vision in your mind for such a long time and you get to see it looking how you wanted it to and getting to see people using it.
As you can imagine, the bulk of the things that I made for our wedding day were for the reception, because basically that takes up the most of the time of your wedding day. You're at your reception for the longest period of time out of the day, and there's just a lot more involved in the reception and a lot more that you can definitely save money on by making it yourself. So I'm going to start going through everything that I made for the reception now as well. I do hope you're still with me out there. I know this is probably going to be a long one again, and I hope that you're still enjoying this video. I am really enjoying making these. I'm a bit sad that it's only in 2 parts because I am actually loving going through it all and getting to sort of relive it as I'm talking you through it. I spent a good probably like 3 to 4 years making all of this stuff, what with all the postponements and everything. So it really was a big part of my life for a long time, and it's really nice just to be able to go through it all and even just keep a record of it all for us to watch in years to come. But I do hope you are all enjoying it, and I hope you're not getting bored with these longer wedding videos. Next up, we are going to move on to everything that was on the tables at the wedding reception. So that means we've got the place settings for everybody, the favours, the kids' gift bags, the little social media signs, and then later on into the night also the drink savers. Starting with the favours, I did go a little bit overboard and we did give every guest 3 favours, which I know some people don't do any and some people will literally just do one thing, but we couldn't make our minds up what we wanted to do, and I knew that I was making them all myself anyway, so we sort of went for a little bit of everything. So, as I've just said, I did go a little bit overboard with the favours. So each guest did have 3 favours each. We'll start with this one. As everybody knows, a very popular favour at weddings is a scratch card. So we decided to go for that for everybody, and I made these little scratch card holders. They were really easy to make. It was just a simple tri-fold design. Printed on the same linen textured card that I've used for everything else. Creases down each side, which I just scored with some scissors, and then folded into 3 and just cut a sort of inverted triangle to cut these edges. I did do it so they were already pre-printed with this on them, which I designed again on that ever trusty free version of Microsoft Word. I went for the sort of pun of Lucky in Love, and then also put the little Mickey head on there as well. And then these silver hearts were the same ones that I used on some of the signage. I just attached those with a tiniest little bit of glue, and then to seal them I just got some little glue dots from Home Bargains, and they stuck really well. And then as you can see, I just cut a couple of slots on each end for the scratch card to go into. I did actually win something on my scratch card. I think I won £1. So yeah, at least I won something. But they were really easy to do and looked really effective laid out on the tables. Next, we will move on to another one that is sort of like an old faithful for wedding favours, and that is the little chocolates. So we got a multi-pack of these Love Heart chocolates off eBay. I think we got a pack of 200 for about £25. In the little sort of purple foil, and then I already had these organza bags. I somehow seem to end up with like a collection of these somehow. So I already had these organza bags, which we just tied in a knot at the back. And then I made these gift tags, which might look familiar. They are the same shape and design as the tags I put on the men's gift bags. So I just used the same format for them and backed on the silver and purple card again. But then these ones I changed to say thank you for celebrating with us on our special day. And then our names, and again a little Mickey head just to keep in those Disney details. And then as you can see on the bottom there, I did have to use that sticker paper again just to replace with our most current wedding date. But people really enjoyed them. People really liked the chocolates. Considering it was essentially cheap chocolate, they actually did taste really nice. And the purple of these contrasted nicely with the white of this, and it looked really nice on the table. Now I'm going to move on to the third one, which is something a little bit different. Some people maybe won't like the idea, they'll think it's a bit cringe, or it'll be one of those things where some people might say, well, what are people going to do with that afterwards? But I really wanted to include a little bit of the sort of Disney fairy tale element in our favours. So I got these little silver boxes, they're like, I think they're called pillow boxes. I got these in a multi-pack off eBay. I think they were literally like £2 for the pack, and you just fold them in on each end once you've filled them. And then I created this little sign for the front, obviously tying in again to the fairy tale theme with the wish upon a star.
dreams come true. And I just created this little poem to go on the front there. Again, just on that white linen card, and all just stuck on with double-sided tape. Double-sided tape really was like my best friend throughout this DIY process. And then if I can open it up with one hand, yes, I can. Inside, we have this little, what I dubbed a wishing star. So these were actually Christmas decorations that I got in a pack of, I want to say 16. They were massively reduced in Argos after Christmas in, I think, 2018. I think I bought them in like early 2019. So because it was a couple of months after Christmas, they were massively reduced. And I got boxes of 16 for like £1.50. So they were ridiculously cheap. They did originally come with like a Hessian rope on them. So I changed it to this lilac ribbon, which is the same lilac ribbon I have used on everything else. And then again, just made a little card with a couple of slots in the side for the ribbon to go through. And it's just tied in a little knot on the back with, again, our names and the sticker papered wedding date on there. I know people might say, like, what will people use this for? But I mean, you could use it for anything. You could put it on your keys. You could just hang it up somewhere in your home. You could save it and put it on your Christmas tree. People didn't have to keep them if they didn't want to. But I just thought it was a nice little extra with the whole sort of Disney fairy tale theme and the idea of like our dreams coming true on the day we got married. So we're giving people a little wishing star for them to be able to make a wish as well. And I just thought it was a really unique idea. I haven't really seen anybody do it before. And yeah, people did really seem to like it. So it might seem a bit over the top to have 3 favours, but I think for us it worked out really well. I will actually put a photo on screen now of how we had them laid out on the table, because it did work out really well how we laid everything out, and it looked really nice for all the guests arriving. So while I'm showing you the favours, it only seems fitting to show you the kids' bags as well, because these were essentially in place of their favours. We do have a dog on the table as well at the minute, so you will possibly see him popping in and out of the shot. He's very intrigued as to what is in these bags. So the only reason I do actually still have one of these, and you might notice the name tag says Mr. and Mrs., if you can see past the dog, is because I wanted to keep one of everything for us for the wedding. So I actually made a copy of everything I made for the kids' bags. I made an extra one for us to keep as well. But it's worked out really well, because now it means I can show you what is in these bags. The bag itself was just off eBay. It's just your basic paper little gift bag. These you can get really, really cheap from so many sellers and in so many different colours. And then I printed out a black and white image. It was just actually a colouring page image that I printed out in this heart-shaped design and backed it on the darker purple card that I used for everything else, and then double-sided taped it onto the gift bag. These tags are the same tags that I made for the men's gift bags, just attached with some lilac ribbon, a little silver peg, and then I got these glitter letters from Poundland. They were already sticky on the back, so they're really easy just to press on. And I put each child's name diagonally across the tag. And then I had some leftover silver hearts, so I just popped one of them on there as well. Now, in the bag, as you can already see, there is a pair of either Mickey or Minnie ears. Because I was doing this for both me and Richard, I kept a pair of each of them. These obviously aren't proper Disney ones. These, again, were just off eBay. And I think they were only like £3 or £4 a pair. So really reasonable. But considering the price, they're actually pretty good quality. And I really, really like the purple bow on the mini ones as well. The kids absolutely love these. Some of the kids put them on as soon as they got to the seat and then didn't take them off for the rest of the night. So they were definitely worth the money. Also in there, we have a little pack of Disney stickers. The bags, I will say, were the only thing that we sort of really went all out with the Disney theming. Because they were for the kids, we really just wanted to put a lot of Disney in there and just give them a lot of things that they would really enjoy. So we've got this pack of Disney stickers that everybody had. And then everyone also had, as the adults did, they had the little wishing star that I've already shown you and a pack of chocolates. I didn't bother putting chocolates in the one I was keeping for us, but they did have 3 chocolates in there, the same as the adults as well. They also had this, which was another Pinterest idea, and it's a designer wedding card. So if I took this out of the plastic, it is just linen textured card folded in half with Happy Wedding Day printed across the top. And then I put a little note on there asking the kids to all draw us a little design on the front of the wedding card and then put them in our card box. And I just thought this would be really cute to keep and a really nice memento of the wedding day. And the kids really did seem to enjoy scribbling on them as well, so they absolutely loved them. The plastic packets, I will say again, I just got off eBay. Nearly everything was off eBay and it was all so cheap. And then the sticker paper and the card I already had from all the other things I've created. Everyone also got a pack of bubbles, which I haven't put a pack of in here. But they all got a little like tube of bubbles to use. And then everyone got a pack of these double-ended coloured pencils. And I just put a band around them and double-sided taped it using the purple card that I used for everything else. And then created this label to go on the front. So on everyone else's, it obviously had the kid's name. So for example, for my cousin, it said like Toby's Colour and Pencils with the little Mickey head, and then our date, which again, I had to use sticker paper to change, just backed on the same silver card as everything else. And again, it was all just created on that free version of Microsoft Word. The Colour and Pencils I actually got from Poundland again, and I thought these were really good because they were double-sided, so you get sort of twice the colours in them. And then the last thing in here is this little colouring and activity book that I made for all the kids. It did take a while to do, and it was actually one of the first things I did, but it was definitely worth it. So I just took an A4 piece of the purple card and folded it in half to create the cover, basically. And then I cut out a piece of silver card that was just slightly smaller than the purple to back the main cover onto. And then again, this was just a colouring page that I found on Google. And I took the image and put it on as the front cover. And then at the top, I put the child's name, which obviously for us to keep, I've put our names on. And then at the bottom, our names and the wedding date, which again, I had to use sticker paper to replace because it was all done so far in advance. And then inside, if we open up, I just found a selection of different activity pages, colouring pages, all Mickey and Minnie themed. So we've got dot to dots, we've got basic colouring pages, we have got mazes, we've got spot the differences, a huge variety of different things just to give the kids something to occupy themselves during the meal. And even during the speeches, I know kids aren't going to really be interested in those. Colour by numbers, and all just sort of along the lines of Mickey and Minnie or like a wedding theme. And yeah, I just thought it was a nice variety. These were literally just printed out on normal A4 white paper that I already had in the house. So really, really cheap. And then if I go to the middle, you can see I have just stapled it twice along the crease of the cover, just to keep everything in place. And even though it was relatively simple, like there's nothing too complicated about it, I think it's really effective and it looks really sort of well put together, if I do say so myself. And the kids did all really, really love them. I'll put a couple of photos on actually of a couple of the kids with like things from their bags and stuff, just so you can see them enjoying the stuff on the day. And they were definitely appreciated by the parents, I think, as well as the kids, to keep them occupied. But yeah, I would definitely recommend. It doesn't cost a lot to do this, and it definitely keeps the kids happy. Also on the tables, we of course had the place settings for everybody. These are ours, which we have obviously kept. So I put bride and groom on ours. These were really, really easy to create. Even anyone who doesn't have like a creative bone in their body could do this kind of place setting. It is just a square piece of card scored down the middle and folded in half, and then I used the silver card and the white linen card to print the actual names with the same design from all of the invites, and then just stuck it together. Honestly, the easiest thing to do, but they looked so effective on the tables. I'll pop a photo on screen now if I have one, just showing what they looked like all set out. But I really, really like them. The little bit of glitter showed up really well on the silver card when they were on the tables. And something else I also did, just to make life easier for the guests, but also especially the servers that were bringing our food round, everyone's meal choices. I used a little bit of sticker paper just to print their meal choice on the underneath of their place setting. So then if anyone wasn't sure what they had ordered, they had a little reminder. And then a couple of days before the wedding, I just put a post out on all my social media saying that obviously it's been a long time since people picked their food choices. So if you're struggling to remember, just check the underneath of your place setting. It saved a lot of confusion. It saved any wasted food. It saved causing any hassle for the venue. And yeah, I just think that's a really good tip as a way to remind your guests if you've done pre-orders for your meals. And finally, the last thing that we have that was sort of involved in the Favours place setting area of the table was these little napkin loops, I guess you could call them. They're not really napkin rings because they're not solid. These were one of the more last minute additions. I saw this idea on Pinterest and just fell in love with it. So these were from eBay. If I can get it undone with one hand, it is just a strip of sort of diamante mesh almost. If I zoom in, you can see that better. And it's got a strip of Velcro on each side just to fasten it together. And then I simply glue gunned a little diamante Mickey head into the middle of it. You can actually see on the back there where it was glue gunned. So then these went around the napkins, which I had on the tables in a fan shape. You might have already seen it in another photo that I've posted, but I will put another one in here now to show you. I just thought these were a nice extra, rather than just having the napkins folded, however nice that would have looked. I just think this worked better for the layout I wanted. And again, it just adds another little bit of that sort of Disney fairy tale theme. These were really, really cheap. I think I got 100 of them for about £10. So they're really, really cheap. And I already had the Mickey heads from some other DIY things I'd done. And I already had like the glue gun stuff as well. And it literally took like 10 seconds to do each one. So again, another really simple but really effective DIY. And as you can actually see now, the glitter and sort of glisten that comes off it when it sparkles in the light is really, really lovely. Two more things to show you now from the tables. The first one being the social media signs that I put out on each one. The easels were off eBay. I think they worked out at like 20 pence an easel. They did come just as plain wood, and then I painted them white. And then this again, just the same way I've done everything else. Designed on a free version of Word. I found the social media logos on Google Images and just copy and pasted them in. Put our hashtag for our day on there. Printed it on the same linen card and then backed it on the silver and the purple. And then I just again used some of those glue dots that I used on the scratch card holders and glue dotted them onto the wooden easels. And then one of these was put in the middle of each table. I just really wanted to give guests an easy way to share all their photos with us. And I just thought this was a nice little way of telling them how to do that. It looked really nice on the table. It wasn't too in your face and overpowering. It didn't take away from the decor of the table, but it was just a nice little extra. And considering these only worked out about 20 pence a piece, they are very, very sturdy. And even once I painted them, they do still fold flat so that they were easy to transport to the venue. Last but not least, these are something that only went out at night for the actual evening portion once the DJ started. Again, this was another Pinterest idea, and again, really, really easy to make. Anybody could make these. I did do the design myself just to be able to use the same fonts and the same style as everything else. I measured what size I would need them from the biggest like rimmed glass that we had in our house. So we had some big pint glasses that were really wide at the top. So I went with the measurements of those to make sure that they would be wide enough for everything. And then I just designed it again on free version of Word, put the little Mickey details on there, printed them out on the same linen card, and then spent a good few hours cutting out all the circles. I think the only glass that they wouldn't have been big enough for is like a big full-size gin glass, but not many people were having those anyway, so that was fine. And there was a selection of these put out on the tables at night, so that if anyone wanted to come up onto the dance floor and make sure that their drink wasn't going to be taken away or moved, they could just put this on the top. My wedding ended up being full of things that I found on Pinterest as ideas to do. But when it's something like this, where I already had the card, I had plenty of ink in my printer, and literally all I had to do was print and cut. It was really easy, really cheap, and just a nice little extra for the day. Next up, I'm going to move on to showing you our guest book. I always do this when I say guest book because it's not an actual book, which you will see when I now show you it. But we knew we wanted something a little bit different, and we were really, really pleased with how this turned out. As I've just said, this is our guest book, essentially, but not your traditional guest book. So we'll start off with this sign. Again, just the same frames from Wilko, the same silver and purple backing with the linen card. And for this one, I said, please leave your wishes for the new Mr. and Mrs. Again, with a little poem, which was put together from bits and pieces I found on Google and then reworded myself to fit what I wanted it to say. We did again obviously include the wishes, which if you've been to Disney World you will know is one of the old fireworks shows. So we wanted to keep trying to tie little things like that in, just to keep in the Disney fairy tale theme. To go along with this, we had this glass jar. Oh, it's quite heavy. I originally had a very similar jar, but with a smaller neck to the top of it. So I just had a ribbon around there, but then I realised that the smaller neck of the jar probably wouldn't fit the cards in that I'd made. So I got this one from Home Bargains. My mum actually spotted this one. I think it was $6.99, and it is really sturdy glass. The seal on it is a very good seal, as you can see. I'm struggling to get that off. But the ribbon just didn't look right around the neck because it was thinner. So I decided to go for this same vinyl that I used on the champagne flutes. And I think it looks really nice. It's not too over the top, nice and understated, and it fits in well with the theme. And then to go in the jar, we had these cards for guests to write on. So this has just been done on the same linen card that I have used for everything else, if it would like to focus on it. There we go. And on the top I put wishes for the bride and groom, again to tie in the wishes theme. And then at the bottom there is a love from, which you might have noticed the poem does say about signing your name, just so that we could make sure we knew who each message was off. So this meant our guests could write a little message for us and put it into the jar. I don't really like traditional guest books because I find that people either don't fill it in, so you end up with loads of blank pages, or people maybe write something ridiculous that you look and you think, oh, I don't really want that in my guest book, like that's awful. So I wanted to do something that was individual, that we weren't going to end up with a load of blank pages. It didn't really matter what people wrote. And one of the best men and the maid of honour were brilliant at getting people to go around and fill these in. I made a ridiculous amount of them, but we did get pretty much one from everybody filled in and put in our jar. So we absolutely were thrilled that we have so many messages, and I have sat and read back over them a couple of times, and I love that we have those to keep. But yeah, I just think this is a really good alternative idea if you don't like the idea of a normal guest book. And I think this was easier to get people to fill in as well, because you could just go around and hand people a card to write on if they didn't want to get up and go over to it. So yeah, definitely something for you to consider if you don't like the idea of a normal guest book. Okay, I hope you're all still with me out there. I promise these are going to be the last few things. So for the last bits in this video, I am going to show you the little extra bits of signage and things that I did for various things around the reception. So to go with our cake, to go on the candy cart, to go with the cake slices for guests to take home. And then I did also make little sort of overnight boxes for any guests that were staying the night with us in the hotel where our reception venue was. I will show you when I get to it everything that I put in it. Obviously I don't have all the bits left over, but I do have a photo of everything that went into it. So when we get to it, I will put that on screen and talk you through everything. People really seem to appreciate them, and I think especially the kids enjoyed a couple of the sweet treats that were in there. And I think it's a really cheap and easy way to just show a bit of appreciation to the guests that wanted to stay the whole night there with you at your wedding. I'm going to start with the candy cart because that is one of the first things the guests saw when they walked into the room. This is a silver frame. With the light at the minute it does look gold, but I promise it's silver. It is the same silver frame that you will have seen in my last video last week. If you haven't watched that one already, I will link it down below. That shows a lot of the bigger DIYs that I did for the wedding. But this is the same frame. It was from Wilko. I love the sort of simple, classic design of it. And as I said last week, the middle is plastic, not glass, so you don't have to worry about smashed glass everywhere if anything gets knocked over. The sign itself was just made the same way as everything else. So linen card, backed on this silver and purple, just printed the exact same way with the same pattern with the little almost hidden Mickey on there. And then again, as with the poem on the order of service, I did take some inspiration from ones I found on Google, but I mixed them up to say what I wanted them to say. Please do feel free again to pause this and take a note of it if you'd like to use it for your day. And then also for the candy cart, I made these little bags. So the bags were just bought off eBay. You can get them in so many different colours. I will link these ones down below because they were really good quality and you can fit quite a lot in them. And then I made these stickers with our names and the date and another little Mickey head just on sticky back paper, which I then cut out. And I think they give a really nice effect. They look really nice laid out on our candy cart. People definitely made use of them, filling them up with lots of sweets. And yeah, absolutely love them. Really pleased with those and definitely one of the easiest DIYs that I did for our wedding. On the topic of signage, I will show you this one as well. This one is a much smaller frame, but it's the same design, also from Wilko. And again, this signage is just made exactly the same way with exactly the same pattern. And this poem, again, I did take a little bit of inspiration from others I found online, but I tailored it more to us and I did try to put a little bit of the Disney fairy tale element in there. So as you can see, I talk about wishes and about faith and trust, which obviously is a little bit of a Peter Pan reference. You've got the happily ever after in there. So I think it was a nice combination of just being a nice poem and also tying it into the cake, which is what this went with, and then also tying in the Disney elements. So we had this just standing to the side of our gorgeous wedding cake. I'll pop a photo on screen now. I'll just pop it on the left hand side just so you can see what it actually looked like when it was set out with the cake, because I think things like this, because they're so simple, even though they do look nice just like this on their own, you don't get the full effect unless you can actually see them as they were laid out on the day. So yeah, I hope you can see from this photo how gorgeous it actually looked when it was set out with the cake. And then on to the last piece of signage, and almost the last thing I have to show you. At the end of the night, we put individual slices of cake out for guests to be able to take home with them. I'm sorry if it's going to be dull. For some reason, it's just dulled in outside. Yeah, we put individual slices of cake out, which I will show you the boxes that we used in a second. But this is the little frame that we put with them. So it just says a sweet ending to a new beginning. I did see lots and lots of prints online with this wording on it, and I thought it was really nice. So I really wanted to use it for ours, but I wanted it to match with everything else. So again, I just made it myself. Same linen card, same font, same detailing with the Mickey head, backed on the same silver and purple, and then again in one of the Wilko frames. And this just went out with a big pile of all of the individually sliced and boxed pieces of cake at the end of the night, so the guests could take them home. I just think it's easier for guests to be able to take them that way. I know a lot of people will give them out sort of after dessert or even as dessert. They'll slice it up sort of at the end of their wedding breakfast and give it out then. But we didn't cut our cake until just before our first dance and the night do started. So we thought it was a nice way to end the night, giving guests a piece of cake to take home with them. So now I'll show you the little box that we put them in. We did have a lilac paper serviette in there as well, just to keep it even fresher. But these are just little boxes that fold in at the top there. And I made the stickers to go on the top that say sweet ending to a new beginning. Again, with the little Mickey head.
These were so easy to make. I just designed them on that free version of Word, printed them out on some sticker paper and then cut out the individual circles. Really easy just to print and stick on. And I'll actually show you as well, the boxes themselves just came as flat ones like this. I bought these on eBay in a multi-pack, and then as you can see they have got the like gone out of focus. They've got the sort of pre-done lines for you to fold along, so it is really easy just to fold them and put together yourself. This was literally one of the easiest things to make, and it made it so easy for each of our guests just to grab a slice on their way out at the end of the night. Everyone absolutely loved the cake, and they loved how easy this made it for them to take a bit home with them as well. The thing I have to show you, and this is the very last thing, is actually sort of the last thing of the night as well. These are boxes that I made up for all of the guests that were going to be staying overnight with us in the reception venue hotel. The boxes I got off eBay, I think it was £5 for 20, so really reasonably priced. They're just like sort of the old like party boxes that you used to get where the sides like come off to open up. I made these in the exact same way I made the drink savers. It's actually the same size circle, but I just changed the text on there. I wanted to create something just as a little thank you and sort of a sign of appreciation for the people that wanted to stay all day and night with us, and also give them some things that might be useful to them once they got back to their rooms at night. So as I say, I made one or sometimes two of these for each room, and then I used a tiny version of the same tag shape that I'd used on the other gift bags, just with the room number and then a little Mickey head in the corner, and attached it with the same lilac ribbon from Dunelm that I've used on everything else. I gave the venue a list of sort of who was in what room and what bag to give them, what gift box to give them when they went to get the key for the room, and it worked really well. Everyone got their gift boxes, everyone loved them, nobody knew they were getting them, so it was a nice little surprise as well when they went to get their key. So what I put inside, I will put a photo on the screen now of everything that was in there, and then I'll talk you through it while the photo's on the screen, because off the top of my head I can't remember what I put in. I can remember some bits and pieces, but I don't want to miss anything. So as you can see from this photo, we included some biscuits and some mints just in case people were a little bit peckish by the end of the night. Some tissues and wet wipes so that people could freshen up a little bit if they needed to. Some paracetamol just in case anyone had a bit of a headache the next day. And some lip balm, as I know personally when we stay away in a strange hotel room, I do tend to get quite dry lips. And then we also had some plasters and a little thank you card, which I'll talk you through in a bit more detail now. The two things that I know I definitely can show you here because I still have them. One is this little card. I put one of these inside everybody's, just with a little poem on to thank them for sharing the day with us, to give them, as I said, some things that they might need, like mints or a little snack of a biscuit, things like that, and just as a little thank you. Again, I had all of these supplies already in. It was really close to the wedding, so it was just sort of like the extra card that I still had left over. So it didn't cost me anything to make these, and I just wanted to thank people for sharing the day with us. And then the other thing that I can show you is these little bags of plasters. So I just bought a massive pack of these little resealable bags off eBay. I think it was only like £1 for 100 bags or something ridiculous like that. And then the stickers, I used the same shape and design that I used for the confetti bags. I made this little poem about dancing too much or shoes being too tight. And then I put a selection of plasters in. So I just went to my local Home Bargains. Let me pop you down a moment while I open this. So I went to my local Home Bargains and I got a selection of plasters. So I got a multi-pack of normal plasters, just so that I could put like a couple of different sizes of plasters in each person's bag. And then I also got some packs of blister plasters, because I absolutely swear by these when we're on holiday. They are so good for blisters. And I thought after a day of being on their feet all day or dancing all night, people really might need these. So I just put a little selection inside a bag, and I know that there were some people for definite that did use them, so they were very much appreciated.
The whole box, I think people really liked, and by now I will have put the photo on the screen and shown you everything else that was in there. We actually ourselves really appreciated them when we got back to our room that night and when we got up the next day. So yeah, I would really suggest, if you have it in your budget, it doesn't have to cost too much. You can buy really inexpensive things to go in it. You don't even have to make anything to go on there yourself. You could just literally use the box. You could get them in loads of different colours, so you could just get a box that matches your colour scheme. And yeah, I just think it's a really nice way to round off the evening for anyone that is staying with you that night.
And that is it for this week's video. I know it's probably been a long one again, so I hope you've worked your way through it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope to any future brides and grooms out there, or even anyone that's just organising any kind of big party or event, a lot of this could be applicable to things that aren't for weddings. But I do hope that you have enjoyed it. As I said at the beginning, if you have enjoyed it, please do remember to give it a big thumbs up and remember to click that subscribe button. I'm not sure what I'll be coming back to you with next week, but we do go on honeymoon in 4 weeks' time now. So very, very soon there will be lots of honeymoon content coming. I don't think there's going to be too much more wedding content, sadly. That is pretty much it now. I think I've gone through almost everything that there is to go through for our wedding. I have loved making our wedding videos so much. Obviously, it was a massive part of our lives for so long, and I know that in years to come, I am going to love having all these videos to look back on from our wedding. So yeah, please do click that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you will get a notification whenever I post a video, and I will see you next time. Bye.